Scary Movie was rejected by every studio in town. The only producers that wanted it were the ones being made fun of. Scary Movie turns 25 years old this week, so here are some things I bet you never knew about it. The story behind Scary Movie obviously starts with the slasher craze of the 1990s. From Scream to I Know What You Did Last Summer, the genre was very ripe for parody. But the exact origins of Scary Movie are a little bit muddled. According to a Variety article from 2020, writers Jason Friedberg and Aaron Seltzer had written a script in the late 90s called Scream If You Know What I Did Last Halloween. Their manager pitched it to producer Bo Zenga, who liked it and agreed to work on it. Zenga then says they were turned down by every studio in town except the Weinsteins. The Weinsteins, who ran Miramax and its subdivision Dimension Films at the time, wanted it because they owned the Scream franchise and they didn't want somebody else cannibalizing their movie. Variety then says that the Wayans brothers came aboard later and rewrote the script. But according to Entertainment Weekly's reporting in 2017, Shawn Wayans came up with the idea of parodying these slasher movies on his own, and he told the Champs podcast in 2012 that Friedberg and Seltzer's script was a case of parallel thinking. Friedberg and Seltzer are credited writers on the movie, but Wayans said they didn't contribute to the film's screenplay. Either way, Shawn and Marlon Wayans, plus their older brother Keenan Ivory Wayans, took over development of the movie, working with the Weinsteins at Miramax/Dimension. Shawn and Marlon would write while Keenan would serve as director. Shawn called it one of the hardest movies to write, and Keenan said it was especially important that they crack a compelling narrative. They wrote as many as 10 drafts of the movie, and Marlon explained, "We wrote a black draft, a white draft, a high school draft, and a college draft." The film relies most heavily on Scream 1 and 2, plus I Know What You Did Last Summer. And fun fact, Scary Movie was actually a working title for Scream at one point. But Scary Movie makes parodies and references to dozens of other films and TV shows, including The Matrix, The Usual Suspects, Kazam, American Pie, Shakespeare in Love, Amistad, Titanic, Schindler's List, Boogie Nights, The Blair Witch Project, Halloween, Friday the 13th, The Shining, Psycho, Candyman, Buffy, Dawson's Creek, Candid Camera, Big Mama's House, and the Budweiser "Was Up" commercials. Keenan told Entertainment Weekly that casting the female lead was the biggest challenge, and that he pissed off the casting department by rejecting every actress that came in. Anna Faris, meanwhile, had recently graduated from the University of Washington with a degree in English literature. A self-described drama club dork, she liked acting but didn't think she'd become a movie star. Her dream was to write a novel. But she pursued acting auditions as a side hustle. And when she heard about the casting call for Scary Movie, she had her mom videotape her submission with the family's VHS camcorder. That tape caught the eye of the casting director, who recommended her to Keenan Wayans. But Wayans was pretty skeptical of seeing an actor who had no on-screen experience. Faris stayed on a friend's couch in Burbank and had to bum rides to get to the auditions. She told Entertainment Weekly she didn't even have a headshot at the time. But Keenan ended up loving her, and her lack of experience was a plus. Because, quote, she was going off her instincts, and she had this natural innocence and was funny. Dave Sheridan, meanwhile, who plays Doofy and, spoiler alert, the killer in the film, went fully method for the audition, staying in character the entire time. He says on the drive home, his reps paged him, and when he called them back, they said the casting people in Keenan Wayans were freaking out. They think we sent in a guy that had learning disabilities. You need to go back and show them who you really are. He was first only cast as Doofy, but asked to play the killer also, and the filmmakers agreed because it would save them some money. Carmen Electra beat out Jenny McCarthy and Melissa Joan Hart for the part of Drew, and James Vanderbeek has an uncredited cameo as himself. Miramax set the budget at $19 million, and Scary Movie started filming in Vancouver on August 16, 1999. The exterior of the school was Victoria High. The dock scene was shot at the Gulf of Georgia Cannery. They also shot on Moncton Street in Richmond and in residential areas of Aldergrove and Langley. The cast would watch scenes from the movies they were parodying on repeat so they could accurately mimic the originals. Shannon Elizabeth, for example, studied Jennifer Love Hewitt in I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Regina Hall told Entertainment Weekly, "I literally tried to die like Jada in Scream 2. The Wayans brothers kept tweaking the script during filming, and Keenan encouraged improv on set. But Anna Faris says she was too nervous to try ad-libbing. She joked that she didn't even know what to do when they called action. Keenan says Faris was especially nervous about the scene where she gets blasted up to the ceiling. Quote, "So I took her for a little walk, and I said, I will not be the one to decide whether this stays in the movie. The audience is going to decide. If they're laughing, then you will have nothing to be embarrassed about. If they're groaning, I give you my word, I'll cut it out of the movie." She took a deep breath and committed 100%, and the rest is history. Faris says Keenan taught her important lessons about comedy. Quote, "There's no vanity in comedy, and 2, don't wink at the audience. You have to be willing to embrace the idea that the audience is going to think you're an idiot." Fun fact, they used the original Ghostface costume from Scream when Cindy notices the killer outside the school. Filming wrapped on October 18th, 1999, after just 2 months. Once they had a rough cut together, they showed it for test screenings, and test audiences liked it. But it needed one more thing. So the Wayans thought, what was something really topical and of the moment that we could add in? And they came up with the parody of the Budweiser "Was Up" commercial, which had just debuted in December 1999. They shot that scene as a pickup during post-production. That addition made it score even even better with test audiences. Producer Bo Zenga said, "At that point, we went from being the redheaded stepchild to the movie that's maybe going to do really well." After editing, the film came in at a lean 88 minutes. By the way, the tagline on the poster read, "No mercy, no shame, no sequel." Scary Movie hit theaters on July 7th, 2000. No one expected it to be a hit, but it debuted at number 1, grossing $42 million domestic opening weekend, which broke the record for the biggest opening for an R-rated movie at that time. It went on to gross $157 million in the US and Canada total, which was a record for a black director and Miramax's most successful movie in the domestic market. It made a huge $278 million worldwide, more than 14 times its budget, and it was the 9th highest grossing movie of 2000. Bob Weinstein said, "Other studios were going, 'What just happened?' It was like winning the Super Bowl, just the most unbelievable thing." And Keenan said it felt like redemption after having to move on from In Living Color. Critics were mixed, as they usually are with raunchy comedies. Today, 51% of the 117 reviews assessed by Rotten Tomatoes are positive. The movie was nominated for 3 MTV Movie Awards, and James Van Der Beek won for Best Cameo. Because of its utter success, it launched a full-on franchise. Scary Movie 2 came a year later, doing $141 million against a $45 million budget. Scary Movie 3 hit in 2003, $155 million against a $45 million budget. Scary Movie 4 came in 2006, $178 million against a $40 million budget. And Scary Movie 5 dropped in 2013, making $78 million against a $20 million budget. Altogether, the movies have grossed nearly $900 million in theaters, and likely a whole lot more on home video. Scary Movie juiced the Waynes' career on the big screen and led to White Chicks, Little Man, and the Haunted House movies. And it was also responsible for reinvigorating the parody genre, and led to Not Another Teen Movie, Superhero Movie, Epic Movie, Disaster Movie, Dance Flick, and Date Movie. Disney sold Miramax in 2016, and the rights to Scary Movie eventually made their way to Paramount. In 2020, Scary Movie's filmmakers said they weren't sure if you could make the movie today. Marlon told Variety, "I think it would be difficult to get a green light." And Zenga said, "There's a lot of gay humor that I don't think would make it into a movie today." But in 2024, Paramount announced that Scary Movie 6 is on the way, with a script from Marlon and Shawn Waynes. The film has a tentative release date of June 12th, 2026, and considering the ongoing popularity of the Scream franchise and revivals of Final Destination and I Know What You Did Last Summer, there's never been a better time for a new Scary Movie. If you made it to the end of this video, drop a "what's up" in the comments. And thanks for watching. For the latest news on Scary Movie 6, subscribe to my Substack.